Greed, for lack of a better word, Mr. Wick, is good. You see, greed... Okay, you clearly don't agree. That's fine. Is there anyone out there who can help me with this? Maybe an ambulance. Or God. John Wick, the world's greatest assassin. That man has capped more heads than Major League Baseball and has run more fades than Barbershops 1 and 2. The discussions surrounding John Wick thematically are usually about revenge, about grief, about power, and most of all...
It's about family.
Actually, I'm here to sit there and throw a giant gorilla wrench into that thing and to say that I believe John Wick is actually about greed and the murdering of it. Let's have a little recap, shall we? The John Wick franchise is all about John Wick. John Wick is actually about what seemed to be a very easygoing, very quiet, unassuming man grieving over the loss of his wife, and then post-mortem, right? Is that right? Post-mortem? And then post-mortem, she goes ahead and sends him a puppy so he doesn't have to grieve alone. And then stupid f***tards go and mess his whole world up, not knowing that John Wick used to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest assassin the world has ever known. And thus, oh my God, action erections just erupted from this thing. John, in the movies, is referred to as the Baba Yaga, the boogeyman. And Vigo rightly says, well, he's not exactly the boogeyman, but he's the one you sent to kill the boogeyman. And I gotta say, that's pretty badass, right? But I'm here to kind of dismantle all those things orbiting around that thought process because, see, John Wick is the boogeyman, but he also kind of isn't. John Wick is the Baba Yaga, but he kind of isn't. John Wick is John Wick, but he's not. He's Jardani Jovanovic, I think is his birth name, Belarus, his Belarus name. Before he was Jonathan Wick. Yes, Jonathan. Yes, Jardani Jovanovic, I think. Yes. But there's a criticism around that thing that the Baba Yaga isn't necessarily a boogeyman per se, especially in the Russian folklore, which most pertains to John because he's Belarusian, which was part of greater USSR. It was kind of its own little sect in Russia, so it's obviously clearly in Russian folklore. But the Baba Yaga isn't necessarily a boogeyman. It's actually a witch with, I think, what'd they say? A witch with chicken legs and rides around on a little mortar thing and sometimes helps you and sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she's good, sometimes she's not. Oh my God, she's ambiguous. Can we trust her? Is she? Oh my goodness. It's actually starting to sound a little bit like John Wick, isn't it? That's where I want to start off today, my friends. See, with his namesake, John Wick, the Baba Yaga, Lo Spettro. Probably so many other nicknames that people probably weren't even alive to actually appropriate into the assassin world because they're dead now. They're dead. With the actual lore of the Baba Yaga, as pertained in Russian folklore, is either a helper or an evildoer. But in an article that I found over on, I believe, Slashflix, Screenflix, Flickflix, kind of made a pretty cool thing about like the Baba Yaga being pretty much just ambiguous in the nature. It's whatever she wants to be on that given day. If she's having a good day, if she's having a bad day. Has she had her coffee yet?
Don't talk to me, I'll kill you until oh, that's good.
It's kind of funny, right? That ambiguity that is there is pretty much emblematic of John Wick. See, John, cat hair. John is pretty much on that sort of morality ambiguity spectrum, isn't he? I'm pretty sure in his past, he probably could have been one of the evilest motherfuckers you ever met. But then when we, as the audience, meet him, he's the protagonist. He's the cool guy. He's the good guy. Anti-hero, I guess. But we're the ones rooting for him, and we meet him in a time where he's probably, doing pretty good and being real good. That's where I think we come to the point where the boogeyman actually shows up. See, In everything I found on the boogeyman, on Wikipedia, pretty much everything about the boogeyman was some kind of different bodied creature in almost every part of the world, saying that the boogeyman is basically something that parents use to make sure their kids aren't being little shits. Seriously, that's pretty much the function of the boogeyman. And, you know, I remember that growing up too. For my family, it was, well, my family decided to use Chucky to keep me straight in line. But in traditionally Latin families, we got like El Cucuy or La Llorona or something like that. And then they got so many in different types of history. It's really, you know, it's interesting how that sort of lore went through all the world. Kind of cool, right? It's really funny to think of that as the sort of universal appeal / identity of the boogeyman, seeing as how the boogeyman is made to keep children in check. Now, you can say children is just a synonym for immaturity, non-development, stupid evolution. And I'm not even saying this as some kind of hit piece on children themselves. No. It can really be maybe a metaphor or a simile, but basically another word for saying, I keep stupid at bay. And children, for as wondrous as they are, the fact that they're not fully developed in their maturity and their wisdom and everything, because that's what life is for. Yep. The boogeyman is there to make sure you don't act stupid. And what do everybody in the John Wick universe pretty much who challenges him do? They act fucking stupid. And how do they act stupid? They are greedy as shit. Let's talk about greed for a little bit. Now, according to Oxford Dictionary, greed is defined as a strong desire for more wealth, possessions, power, etc., than a person needs. Otherwise known as an excess for all these things. Urban Dictionary defines it as the root of all fucking evil. Damn, these fools came in hotter than a freaking plate of fajitas, didn't they? Now, actually, I kind of need that. 1 second. Okay, we're back. I'm organized. I know what I'm doing. Now, there have been many discussions and philosophical debates and theories implanted into the strata of economics and other types of things where it very much goes in favor of greed. Because without greed, well, we wouldn't be in this wondrous Willy's Wonderland of medicine, education, technology. Yeah, you can actually really make a pretty solid argument about how greed was a contributing factor to those things. And what a hard argument it is to go against that.
We live in a time where, dang, you got all this information at your fingertips. Medicine is better than it's ever been. And we have a Starbucks inside of a Pete's Coffee that's inside of a Dunkin' Donuts.
It's crazy. The argument surrounding that with greed is that when one basically pursues their own personal individual self-interests, well, society benefits. Or does it? Now, we'll probably get back to that near the end of the video, but I'm not saying to completely discredit those theories. Look them up. They're actually pretty fascinating reads. And it makes sense, right? When you're pursuing your own interests, maybe by kind of economic and spiritual osmosis or influence or spillage, or your environment around you is essentially absorbing your actions. And if you're doing good things, other people get inspired, other people get ideas. There's progress made. Keep it in the back of your brain juice box meat thing.
Once you've given it some thought, you start to realize that, everything's not as simple as just yes or no.
What does greed have to do with the John Wick universe? Oh, my lovelies, everything. You can even make the argument that the whole franchise was kicked off by greed. Yeah, think about it. John Wick 1. Yosef Tiramisu, whatever the his name was, saw John Wick's car and was like, how much? And John was like, nah. And he was like, bitch, my car. We move on to John Wick Chapter 2, where Santino D'Antonio, is that right, that's his name? Santino D'Antonio? Santino D'Antonio comes to John with a marker saying, hey, do this thing for me. And the little frickin' pansy can't even do it himself. He's got literally some of the greatest assassins at his disposal. What? Why? Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, he really comes in there saying, I want her seat at the high table. My man, you can go to IKEA and get all the high tables you want. With the money you probably just make by existing in this world, they can build you the highest table the world, but nope, he needs more power. He needs more influence. He needs to have her seat at the high table. Thus, everything goes awry, and look what happened. John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, is a little different in scope and size because, well, it's greed in a different sense. This is greed of power. See, the high table has a lot of rules set down, and John broke one of the most serious rules in the game of the assassin world. And therefore, John has to suffer all the retribution about it. But one thing they kind of forgot. It's John Wick! It's like they forgot. These people can't be contested, can't be denied. Yes, they have rules set in place that's supposed to keep order or some I don't know in their world. But yeah, John basically said, F all that. And honestly, it was probably the right choice to make because who knows what kind of life he would have lived had he not made the choice he made.
Play out what happens. He tries to wait out Santino, which is impossible. The guy has infinite money. All the while, Santino is taking over New York and keeps sending waves of guys after John, and he dies anyway. At least this way, Santino is dead, and New York is saved-ish.
So the greed from the high table in Chapter 3 comes about that they don't want to be challenged, and that is basically greed for control. They have to keep everything in the order that they see fit.
Nothing else.
That also kind of spills into different type of psychological aspects that come along with greed, and we'll get to those a little later. It's a nice little branch on the tree of greed anyway. And, well, I hate to break it to you, my friends, but John Wick 4 deals with the greed of John himself. I know that is a bitter pill to swallow, and goddamn, I've taken vitamin D pills and those things are nasty. Eventually it tastes like chalk and what I'm pretty sure is an egg. John Wick Chapter 4 is the wrap-up of John Wick's story. And John Wick really wants to be free, but as Winston told him in the very beginning, and what a lot of people have told him pretty much throughout the entire series,
lying to yourself that the past held no sway over the future, but in the end, a lot of us are rewarded for our misdeeds, which is why God took your wife.
Yep. Can't really escape. So, John enacts his own basically punishment for his greed. He was his own Baba Yaga. He was his own boogity man. Kind of like the snake that eats itself, or the chicken who eats the egg. But which one ate first? Anyway, as you can see, greed runs heavy into the John Wick franchise. And what does John do with, oh my goodness, surgical precision? He punishes greed. He punishes with so many beautiful headshots and ankle shots and body shots and body shots. Shots. He basically just, John Wick handles a Brady bunch of hench people. It's like he is impossible to stop. Kind of like he's a force of nature. Kind of like he is just sort of almost ambiguous in his own humanity. And John Wick, being the Punisher, oh my goodness, what an amazing crossover that be. Freaking John Wick and the Punisher. Don't copyright claim me. But John Wick really is a punisher of all those who experience greed and they just let it consume them, and he doesn't necessarily want to, obviously, anymore, but you mean to tell me that Joseph Tarasov didn't have enough money to get a car exactly like that? Oh, then Santino D'Antonio sees his sister and he's like,
She has more power than me. I want that much power too.
the high table being like, oh my God, did you just ruin everything? No, everything needs to be orderly and right. I'm right, you're wrong. Oh my God, I need this. Yeah. What does all that sound like to you? That sounds like the fits of a child. Or as Dumbledore's brother say, Abercrombie Dumbledore says,
That's a boy's answer.
basically saying like that's a child answer, that's an immature answer. Come on, man. That's exactly what all these people were. Greedy, delusionally so, and freaking almost stupidly so. Like,
Insanely stupid.
kind of brings me to my next point. Why is greed such a weakness in the human condition? Why is it such a weird blot on the spirit and energetic being of all humans? Well, we said before that there were some good things that came with it, but I think when you look at it in its isolated thing about its results, you kind of miss the point of the aftermath of those results and the sort of fallout of every decision and consequence and everything, which, hey, it's another theme inside of John Wick. See, one of the main pieces missing in that whole sort of pro-greed thing is that excess and how you go about that excess is kind of important. Like, everybody needs to eat, everybody needs connection from human beings, everybody needs water, everybody needs shelter. But at what point is everything just too much? Like, as human beings, we're not made to eat that much. That's why our stomachs are only so big. We can only process so many nutrients. You can only drink so much water till eventually you're drowning like everybody at the end of Titanic. Actually, I don't know if they drowned so much as froze to death. You're not even supposed to have that much water, otherwise you're basically just gonna drown yourself like Mama did in the abyss. And that's the thing, it's curbing the excess and curbing the oversaturation of everything that you might need. There was a lot of scholarly sort of things that I perused upon in my very, very, very thorough Google search. I'm not a scholar. I wish I was. I'm working on it.
What the hell was that accent?
I'm working on it. I did find some very interesting things about sort of the reason that greed tends to stem. A lot of people think that greed was pretty much part of our nature since the dawn of civilization. Maybe an essence of self-preservation. So if you saw somebody with one thing, you wanted one thing plus a little something extra. And a lot of times what that built into, especially in our modern day society, is a sort of weird psychological mushy mush of the fact that since you're so greedy, you tend to evolve into somebody who becomes a hoarder. You tend to evolve into somebody who becomes very, very anxious because you can't trust anybody, because you tend to self-project on people.
Since I'm they must trying to get everything that I have.
You tend to become very depressed because doing the things that you need in order to satiate your greed alienates you from a bunch of other people. So you're lonely. Also, you have questionable moral kind of boundaries where as long as you can rationalize, which, oh my God, humans are so good at rationalizing pretty much damn near everything. They can pretty much Jeff Winger any reason to do anything, no matter how just beautiful, amazing, compassionate, and kind, or the most fucked up shit you can ever possibly think of, because man, when we're not loving, we're sucking, which I guess in a way sometimes can be construed as the same thing. And my friends, a lot of people think that greed has something to do pretty much principally with money, because that's what makes the world go round, especially now. Oh my brow. Yeah, money tends to be the thing, but you can be greedy with time, you can be greedy with relationships, you can be greedy interpersonally, you can be greedy with food, which I guess all stems from money. Yeah, this is why I saw some religious scholars and philosophers, minds of old, saying that they think greed is probably the worst of all the vices. Because some could argue it's the source, because you can be greedy for lust, you can be greedy for power, you can be greedy in the feeling you get of your rage. Man, it's a pretty cool, crazy interweb painting puzzle thing that just, man, can throw a pretty much decent human spirit into chaos. And through all those things, essentially you can cause more poverty, and not just monetarily, but you cause a poverty and a sort of poverty to people around you, because in order for you to flourish, you have to take and you have to dismantle. Kind of like this.
You can take it even further.
That was incredible. It's a shame about the lilies, though.
They're just flowers.
Hama, in order to become as powerful as the bender that she was, she had to kill life. That's kind of not the way, or rather shouldn't be. Uncle Iroh would not be proud. My friends, it doesn't seem to be worth it. And if you're gonna look at it in the context of John Wick, well, damn, of course it wasn't worth it. Look what happened, especially to John and all the people. I wonder if those hench folk had families and stuff. Well, they're dead now. Oh, damn. So I guess in a way you could say like, yeah, man, I'm just trying to get mine, and that's a short game way to look at it. Real quick side note, my friends, I am completely aware that the powers that be and people who know how to manipulate the spirit of human nature and economy and society and stuff like that, they know how to use the vices and the kindnesses and the things to manipulate them to their own favor. And it's basically like a very, very rich, fat person who has a buffet of things. They hand you a nice little meal, one meal, and you look and you're like, I want more. And they tell you, well, just be thankful for what you have. Well, I'm here to tell you that shit works always. I've been greedy in the past with relationships and my time and whatever freaking knowledge I had with money. And I don't even have that much money to be greedy with, to be honest. But life has a beautiful way of just grabbing your most sensitive sack somewhere, wherever it might be, and just Hulk smash Mike Tyson uppercutting that. And I promise you, my friends, it is not worth it. I don't like to be all this kind of negative and not give some kind of like solutions. Not that I'm a scholar, all that wise, but upon looking at some of these things and upon life experience and some very, very lovely, lovely intuition and instinct and just good old grace of spirit, I figured, it is all right to get yours in a means that you are good and you actually have abundance. There's a difference between abundance and excess. It's a fine line, but yeah, abundant so you can thrive, your family can thrive, your neighborhood can thrive. The essential birthplace of greed actually comes from Pennywise, take it, fear. People fear. People fear to lose, people fear to have nothing, and people are insecure with who they are, what they are, where they are. Oh my goodness, fear, 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 fear. Pretty sure that's a Edward Norton movie. And fear can make us do some of the dumbest things in the world, my friends. Fear is the forest and greed is one of the biggest trees out there. It makes you posit, my friends, like you got nothing to fear when you got beautiful people around you that are helping you make your dreams come true, and vice versa. You're making their dreams come true. You're doing things that fulfill you. You're helping people that's fulfilling in a different way. It's a nutrition. It's a sort of energetic and frequency-based nutrition that bounces off you and other people in your community and your own mind and your body and your spirit. So go on and heck yeah, pursue your things. Do those things. Hell, work that job and then you have that family. But man, I wish everybody could just know when enough is enough and they are good. Because that really does seem the hard part, especially in nowadays, is that enough is not enough. But what is enough? Do some soul searching, my friends. Make yourself masterfully beautiful. Make yourself the awesome spirit that you know you can be. You just won't let yourself. And then what you do is spread that around. If you're going to be greedy about anything, be greedy about helping others. Be greedy about actually making human connection and relationships and cultivation of non-stupid. And I guarantee everything will be all the better for it. No matter who you are, what you are, where you are. We actually make things pretty cool for the time we have left on this lovely blue, green, and brown rock. And some white parts at the poles. Yeah, there's a lot of white parts. There's a lot of snow and bears. Well, my friends, I hope you love that video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and do all the internet-y things because, hey, what have you got to lose? And if you see my live streams, go ahead and throw them on. Even if you don't watch them, throw them on in the background and just help a lovely clownish brother out. I'm so glad you stuck by, my friends. If you want to check out some videos and you need some help with motivation or a crazy way to think about the Halloween franchise, check out the videos right at the end of the title screen. All right, my friends, Dimitri, your friendly neighborhood Heyoka saying, remember, peace is the default. Damn near everything is nuanced. And please, just be fucking excellent to each other. All right, y'all, I think it's a see you later. Hey man, that's a nice car. Thanks. Where'd you get it? Car store. Cool, man. Oh, hey, look, dogs. Oh, puppy, cool. Thanks, man. Thank you, sir, for information. Cool. Have fun buying a car.